Why does she lose interest when you try harder, but chase you when you disappear? Why does consistency make her cold, but distance lights her on fire? And why does everything you were taught about love destroy attraction faster than anything else? You've seen it play out. You send her long texts, and she replies short. You show up every morning, and she barely notices. But the second you stop reaching out, she's the one flooding your notifications, suddenly acting like you matter again. And you sit there lost, asking yourself, what game is she playing? But here's the twist. It's not a game. It's human wiring. And the more you serve yourself up for free, the less value she places on you. Consistency doesn't spark her desire. Scarcity does. It feels unfair, doesn't it? You try harder, she gives less. You stay consistent, she gets distant. You give her more of your time, she gives you less of her respect. And deep down, you already know the truth. You can feel the attraction slipping every time you double text. You can feel her interest fading each time you cancel your plans to make time for her. She's not too busy, she's just not invested. Here's the gut punch no one ever told you. Attraction doesn't thrive where there's endless availability. It dies there. The more you hand yourself over without limits, the less she values it. What really pulls her in isn't constant attention. It's the mystery of not knowing, the space where her imagination has to work, and the sense that your time is worth more than hers. So stay with me until the end, because once you understand this shift, you'll never look at texting, chasing, or good morning messages the same way again. When you make yourself too available, you don't look like a man who cares. You look like a man with nothing else going on. She wakes up already knowing your text will be there. She checks her phone certain you'll reply in seconds. She makes plans with full confidence you'll drop everything to fit her schedule. And the more predictable you are, the less valuable you become. There's no spark, no tension, no anticipation, just background noise. Every time you double text, you shrink in her eyes. Every time you explain yourself when she didn't ask, you broadcast insecurity. Every just checking in is really code for, I have nothing better in my life. You think you're being thoughtful. She feels you're being desperate. Attraction isn't built on effort, it's built on scarcity. And right now, you're serving yourself up like a 24-hour diner. Always open, always available, always forgettable. Men with purpose don't behave like this. A man building his future doesn't obsess over whether she used a period or an exclamation mark. He doesn't rewrite a text 5 times debating an emoji. That's not strength. That's weakness disguised as effort. And nothing dries up her desire faster than a man orbiting her like she's the center of his universe. That daily good morning doesn't make her feel wanted. It makes her feel smothered. It tells her she's your only focus, not your mission, not your goals, not your growth, just her. And that is the kiss of death. Here's the part most men refuse to face. She's not replying slower because she's busy. She's replying slower because she knows you'll always be there, like a loyal dog waiting by the door. Where's the thrill in that? Where's the chase? Where's the tension? You erased it the moment you made yourself predictable. And predictability kills attraction. The brutal truth? The longer your messages get, the shorter her interest becomes. While you're pouring paragraphs into her phone, she's showing her friends and laughing. Not because she's cruel, but because desperation is obvious. Men with options don't write novels. Their words are short, sharp, efficient. Every message signals the same thing. My time has value. And when your time has value, she feels it. When it doesn't, she treats you like wallpaper. In part 2, I'll show you the hidden calculation running in her subconscious every time you drop everything for her. and why that single habit silently destroys attraction. Every time you rush to answer her call, you send a message you don't even realize. No one else values your time. Every time you drop what you're doing just to meet her needs, you're announcing that nothing in your world is important enough to hold your focus. That doesn't read as romance, it reads as weakness. Women may not say it out loud, but their subconscious is always running the same calculation. Would a man with options act like this? And the answer, brother, is no. Watch how she behaves with the man who doesn't reply right away. She writes longer messages. She rereads his words. She checks her phone every hour, waiting on his response. She overanalyzes every emoji he sends. Meanwhile, you get half-hearted K texts while she's scrolling TikTok. The difference isn't his looks. It isn't his money. It's his behavior. His distance signals value. Your instant availability signals low status. Attraction doesn't bend to logic. It bends to status. And status isn't just your income or your muscles. It's the way you act. When you reply instantly, you're telling her she's the highlight of your life. When you send walls of explanation, you're proving nobody else is competing for your attention. When you flood her with energy, you're showing her you have nowhere else to put it. That's why she treats you like background noise, while obsessing over the man who makes her wait. Think about it. Social proof isn't just being seen with other people. It's about behaving like someone who already has people, who already has a full life. When you don't respond right away, her imagination does the work for you. Maybe he's with someone. Maybe he's busy. Maybe other people want his time. Those thoughts elevate you. And the fantasy she creates in her head is always more attractive than the reality of you sitting alone, staring at her name glowing on your phone. Here's the bitter truth. She's not attracted to you. She's attracted to her perception of you. And every needy move you make edits that perception downward. You're not losing her because of who you are. You're losing her because of how you act. A high-value man's attention feels expensive. Yours feels free. And what costs nothing is always treated like nothing. But here's where it gets worse. When you make yourself as free as air, you don't just look cheap, you become invisible. In part 3, I'll show you exactly how predictability kills attraction and why the men she actually pursues operate on a completely different set of rules. You've turned yourself into air. Always there, always free, only noticed when it's gone. And here's the brutal truth. Nothing kills attraction faster than predictability. Real status doesn't feel like an open door she can walk through whenever she pleases. It feels like a door that might close if she doesn't bring her best. That tension, the uncertainty of whether she truly has you, that's where her desire lives. But you? You're not just an open door. You're a door ripped off its hinges, permanently unlocked, screaming, "I'm always here." And with that, the chase is over. Now look at the men she actually pursues. They don't wake up every morning to text, "Good morning." Their mornings are full of training, work, and goals that matter more than her moods. They don't reply instantly because their attention is split between projects, people, and progress. They don't explain their silence because they don't need to. Their time already feels valuable because it truly is. That's why she obsesses over the man who seems just out of reach while treating you like furniture. Always present, never exciting. His selective communication creates scarcity. His delayed replies create anticipation. His limited availability creates competition. Every message feels like it matters. Every interaction feels earned. Meanwhile, your constant presence erases every ounce of tension. You've turned yourself into elevator music, always playing in the background, never noticed. And when something becomes too predictable, it loses its magic. But don't confuse this with childish games. Mystery isn't about ghosting her or pretending you don't care. It's about having standards. It's about not answering texts during work because your work matters more. It's about not staying up at 2 a.m. for late-night rants because your sleep is non-negotiable. It's about living like a man whose life doesn't orbit around her. That's not manipulation. That's reality. And here's the paradox most men never grasp. In almost every area of life, more effort equals better results. Work harder, and you win. But with women, the harder you try, the faster you lose. Each ounce of effort doesn't raise your value, it lowers it. Because effort doesn't signal strength. Effort signals scarcity. And scarcity is the last thing she wants to feel from a man. But what if I told you this runs deeper than just texting or attention? What if I told you that everything your father, your coach, and your boss taught you about effort and reward is exactly why you keep failing with women? In Part 4, we'll tear down that belief and expose why trying harder only pushes her further away. Think about the lessons drilled into you since childhood. Your dad told you, nothing worth having comes easy. Your coach screamed, winners never quit. Your boss rewards the guy who stays late, grinds harder, sacrifices more. And in almost every part of life, that formula works. Work more, get more. Push harder, climb higher. But here's where the ground flips beneath your feet. With women, that exact formula destroys you. The more effort you put in, the less she feels for you. The more you prove you care, the more she pulls away. That's why it feels so unfair. You're doing what you were taught. You're giving more, working harder, showing up stronger, and she's losing interest faster. Effort is supposed to equal reward. But with women, effort equals decline. Look at her behavior. You spend 20 minutes crafting a perfect text. The man she actually wants sends 5 sloppy words, and she's hooked. You plan creative dates weeks in advance. She cancels them for the guy who texts you up at midnight. You remember every detail she told you. Her birthday, her favorite drink, her childhood story. Yet she's daydreaming about the man who forgot them all. That's the cruel paradox. Your effort doesn't raise your value. It exposes your insecurity. High-value men don't need to overinvest. They don't sit there rehearsing the perfect line. They don't try to impress with constant energy. They walk into her life effortlessly because they already know their presence is enough. And the moment you start trying too hard, you reveal the opposite, that you don't believe you're enough. And women can smell it instantly. But watch what happens when you pull back your energy. Suddenly, she's the one texting first. Suddenly, she's suggesting plans. Suddenly, she's remembering the little things about you. Not because she changed, but because the dynamic flipped. When you stop auditioning for her approval, she starts auditioning for yours. When you stop chasing, she starts chasing. When you stop working overtime to win her, she starts working to keep you. The most attractive men don't look like they're trying. Their life speaks for itself. Their presence is the prize. The second she senses you're grinding for her attention, she knows she already owns you. And once she feels certainty, desire evaporates. But here's the contradiction nobody talks about. She tells you she wants consistency, honesty, no games. Yet she loses interest in the exact men who give her all that. Why? Because her words don't match her wiring. In Part 5, we'll expose this hidden contradiction and show why biology always wins over what she says she wants. You keep telling yourself she's different. You convince yourself this time it's special. You replay her words in your head, how she said she hates games, how she said she wants consistency, how she said she values honesty. And you believed her. But here's the truth, brother. She tells every man the same thing. And the men who actually deliver exactly what she asked for, they're the ones she loses interest in the fastest. Attraction doesn't bend to her words. It obeys her wiring. Biology doesn't care about biography. The church girl quoting scripture? She ignores the nice Christian man who texts her devotionals, while she fantasizes about the mysterious stranger who came and vanished. The feminist preaching emotional availability? She friend-zones the guy who validates her feelings, while chasing the one who barely remembers her last name. The ambitious CEO insisting she wants an equal partner? She gets bored with the man who respects her schedule, while obsessing over the one who makes her wait. Different faces. Same psychology. You think her values rewrote millions of years of evolution. You think her culture reset her instincts. You think attraction works like a negotiation table. Give her what she asks for, and she rewards you. That's like believing gravity won't pull you down just because you don't believe in it. Attraction doesn't care about her education, her politics, or her opinions. It's primal. It's universal. What comes too easy loses value. What feels scarce becomes magnetic. Even your grandparents lived in a different reality. Your grandfather didn't compete with dozens of men sliding into her DMs every day. He didn't fight against a phone buzzing nonstop with attention from strangers. Scarcity was built into the system back then. Today, you have to create it. If you don't, you'll drown in the noise, and she'll forget you ever existed. Here's the brutal pattern. Every woman who's ever lost interest in you followed the same script. She responded to distance with desire. She responded to effort with apathy. She valued what was hard to get. She discarded what came too easily. Not because she was evil. Not because she wanted to hurt you. But because attraction doesn't reward what's free. It only rewards what feels earned. But here's the twist most men never see. The problem isn't your looks. It isn't your money. It isn't even your words. It's the way your behavior keeps signaling low status. In Part 6, I'll break down the hidden language of status and why your actions matter more than anything else in the attraction game. Status wears many faces. Looks are one. A strong body signals visual status. It shows you've mastered yourself more than the soft, scrolling masses. Money is another. That's resource status. Proof you can handle reality better than the broke dreamers who complain online about why life is unfair. But here's the kicker. The most powerful form of status isn't what you own. It's how you behave. And too many men destroy it every time they triple text. Nothing flips her instincts faster than pre-selection. The second she sees other women want you, her competitive drive explodes. It's primal. It's biological. It's survival. But what do most men do? They advertise the opposite. They act like she's their only option. They cling to her attention as if it's oxygen. And every needy move they make lowers their perceived value. A man with abundance doesn't panic when one woman goes silent. He doesn't send novels explaining why he was busy. He doesn't even think about it. He's too focused on his mission, his circle, his future. Your network, your influence, your presence. All of these are modern signals her brain processes in seconds. But the highest form of status isn't your follower count, your car, or your bank account. It's the way you carry yourself. Confidence isn't writing "I'm confident" in your bio. It's forgetting to reply for 3 days because you were actually busy. Charisma isn't crafting a 20-minute text. It's making her laugh with one line while other men flood her phone with paragraphs. Here's the tragedy. Most men already hold status in some area of their lives. Maybe you crush it at work. Maybe you're respected in your field. Maybe women check you out at the gym. But she doesn't feel any of that when you act like she's the last woman on earth. She doesn't see it when you explain yourself like you're on trial. She doesn't believe it when you beg for her attention, like a starving man begging for scraps. You're rich in status, but you spend it recklessly, like a lottery winner blowing millions without realizing the money is running out. And once she sees you as predictable, she checks out. Because predictability doesn't feel safe in attraction. It feels boring. And boring is death. But here's the shift most men miss. Mystery. Mystery isn't about lying, ghosting, or manipulation. It's about being incomplete in her mind. In Part 7, I'll show you why predictability kills desire, and how mystery, scarcity, and uncertainty are the real drugs that keep her chasing. Think back to what first pulled her in. It wasn't your constant attention. It wasn't your predictable, "good morning" text at 7 a.m. It was the thrill of not knowing, the rush of wondering if you'd call, the challenge of trying to figure you out, the mystery of who you were when you weren't around. That uncertainty is what lit the spark, but you killed it. You suffocated it with predictability. You replaced mystery with monotony. And the second the mystery dies, so does the chase. Women don't lose interest because you're boring. They lose interest because there's nothing left to uncover. You've already answered every question before she could ask it. You've removed every obstacle before she could climb it. You've solved every puzzle before she could even play. And what happens when you play a video game where you already know every level, every boss, every ending? You quit. That's exactly what you've done. You've turned yourself into emotional fast food. Always there, always predictable, consumed quickly, forgotten instantly. High-value men are nothing like that. They're not drive-through meals. They're a reservation-only restaurant. Sometimes you can't get in. Sometimes you have to wait. Sometimes you have to earn your place. And that's why, when you finally get access, it feels valuable. It feels rare. It feels like a win. You, on the other hand, have made yourself into a 24-hour diner. Always open. Always easy. And nobody brags about eating at a diner. And here's the secret most men miss. Mystery isn't deception. It isn't manipulation. It's incompleteness. It's leaving gaps for her imagination to fill. When you hand her every detail of your day, every thought in your mind, every feeling in your heart, you give her a finished book. She reads it once, she puts it down, and it collects dust. But when you hold something back, when you let her imagination do the work, her brain lights up, and the story she writes about you in her head will always be more attractive than the dull reality of you on the couch, scrolling Netflix. Scarcity and mystery hit her nervous system like a drug. Rare attention feels priceless. Limited time feels precious. Selective energy feels intoxicating. That's why she screenshots 5 careless words from the man who barely texts her, while she deletes your 500-word confessions. Because scarcity creates meaning. But why does scarcity hook her deeper than your consistency ever could? Why does uncertainty keep her chasing while effort pushes her away? In Part 8, I'll expose the psychology behind it and why her attraction works exactly like a slot machine. There's a reason gambling hooks people for life. It's not the money. It's not the flashing lights. It's the uncertainty. You never know when the jackpot is coming. That unpredictability lights up the brain like nothing else. And the same psychology is what fuels her obsession. When she doesn't know if you'll reply in 5 minutes or 5 hours, her pulse quickens. Every notification feels like it could be you. Every silence feels like a gamble. And that gamble is addictive. But you? You've made yourself into a slot machine that pays out every single time. No risk, no suspense, no thrill. And just like a machine that always wins, you get boring fast. Selective communication creates investment. The harder she has to work to figure you out, the more she values you. Psychologists call it the IKEA Effect. people value what they build themselves. When she has to earn your time, when she has to decode your silence, when she has to wonder what's going on in your head, she invests more of herself. But when you show up fully assembled, dumping every detail, every thought, every feeling into her lap, there's nothing to earn, nothing to build, nothing to fight for, and what costs nothing gets respected the least. When you're mysterious, her mind races. When you're scarce, her focus sharpens. When you're selective, your attention feels like gold. Attraction doesn't reward fairness. It doesn't care about logic. It doesn't grow with consistency. It thrives on tension. Tension built by uncertainty, by distance, by scarcity. That's why the man who barely texts her back lives rent-free in her mind, while you, the one who gives her everything, barely crosses it. Here's the real power shift. You don't need money, fame, or model looks to flip this script. You just need discipline. The average man who masters his availability will always outshine the rich guy who texts like a desperate kid. The ordinary man who knows how to create mystery will always outshine the handsome man who gives his attention away for free. So stop thinking you need to change everything about yourself. You don't need a Lamborghini. You don't need a six-pack. You don't need to be extraordinary. You just need to make your ordinary attention feel extraordinary by making it rare. And in part 9, I'll give you the final wake-up call. The mindset shift that turns you from the man chasing into the man she can't stop chasing. The cheat code most men will never figure out. This is your wake-up call. Stop trying so hard. Stop writing essays in her inbox. Stop replying the second her name lights up your screen. Stop chasing what should be chasing you. Because your real power isn't in what you give away. It's in what you hold back. Your silence sparks her curiosity. Your distance fuels her imagination. Your absence becomes the very thing she craves. And here's the truth. You don't need Donnie, fame, or godlike looks to make this work. You only need discipline. The formula is brutally simple. Be harder to reach than you are to forget. Let her wonder where you are instead of always knowing. Let her earn your replies instead of expecting them for free. Let her chase the mystery instead of assuming she already owns you. The more you hand yourself over like a buffet, the less she values it. But the moment you protect your time, when you pull your energy back, your value multiplies. Attraction doesn't grow in constant contact. It grows in silence. It doesn't thrive in predictability. It thrives in uncertainty. It doesn't come from effort. It comes from restraint. The space between your messages is where her imagination runs wild. The pause before your reply is where her desire expands. The distance you create is what makes your presence powerful. This isn't playing games. This is finally playing to win. For the first time in your life, you don't need to prove yourself, buy her attention, or transform into someone else. You only need to master the one skill most men will never learn: the wisdom to do less, say less, and be there less. Because the less you give, the more she craves. And once you understand that, you stop being another name in her inbox. You become the exception, the one she can't stop thinking about, the one she starts chasing, the man she doesn't want to lose. If this hit you hard, don't just scroll away. Follow now, because this is just the beginning. The next time you pick up your phone, you'll know exactly how to flip the script and make her fight for your attention.